ago there, Jimmy, when I was a little bit naughty, about 20 years ago, I was in my 20s. I used to go burgling houses, stealing from people, going in jail, being in jail most of my life, in and out of prison. So anyways, the motto of this story is one day I burgled somebody's house, right? Back in the 1980s, this was. I got prosecuted for it and all this, you know. So anyways, I burgled a person's house and I opened his wardrobe and I put all his clothes on, smart clothes from the 80s, were brilliant, right? And I left my jeans in the house with my probation officer's contact number and my jeans, right? So, to cut a long story short, I actually went into my probation officer's the next day, right? And my probation officer says, James, have you been doing anything wrong? I says, no, why? Showing why it's strange how your trousers ended up in a place where they shouldn't have been with my contact phone number in them, right? And anyways, the people whose house I burgled actually phoned my probation officer up while I was in the office and actually spoke to the people's house whose house I had broken into. And do you know what it is? The strange thing is, them people did not want to press charges against me or do anything, and that made me feel really low. And ever since then, I've never burgled a house or stole from anybody since I actually talked to the people whose house I burgled. And that's a good little story, that. And that stopped me from going back to prison again.
Yeah, no, it's a very inspirational and positive story, and I'm pleased that you could share with the audience this evening. And it's a very powerful story. And
Jimmy, prison doesn't learn you anything. Prison just learns you how to steal. There's no sort of get up and go in prison. There's no teaching anything to anybody in prison. Prison just sort of learns you the way of crime, how to break into houses, different ways to break into cars. In this day and age, Jimmy, in the UK, the young people have got no sort of get up and go. They've got no sort of, you know, what is there out there? All they've got to do is stand on street corners and follow the life of crime and maybe what the parents are doing, social security and all that, you know. So they can't really see anything. You know what the young ones need today, Jimmy? Is a short, sharp shock like I got in 1979 when Mrs. Thatcher was in power. She says all these young kids, 16, 17-year-old, we'll send them all away and we'll teach them and we'll give them a short, sharp shock for 6 or 7 weeks. I went through all that. That didn't work. It just made me fitter, you know, and I could run faster than police. But today, the young kids now who stand on street corners drinking need a good kick up the backside, and they need put in the army from about 16 to 18 years of age, and they need taught some values in life, because today the young ones are just running wild. It's as simple as that, Jim, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree with some of them points. Definitely, I think that, you know, the young people maybe through a phase where they don't recognise that they still have got opportunity, and they don't see sometimes the potential. And I work with a lot of young people myself. I work with a lot of young offenders, and some of the people who do like to tend to time in their life, and a lot of the times they don't see any other option, albeit there are other options out there for them. They don't recognise and see them because they tend to model people around them who, like you said, think it's the right way. So a lot of the times they do end up going to prison. They come out of prison and all they've learned is how to break into a car or a house, and it's not always a good way to rehabilitate people. And I think that I'm all for bringing the National Military Service. I'm sure it wouldn't do anyone any harm to get a good base, giving that value base to work with. We can build positive in society. And there are,
Jimmy,
young people, but there's also some fantastic young people that even at early age, they go out there and they've got good aspirations and they work really hard as well. So, for every group of youths that hang around on the corner or hang around the corner street, there's a group of powerful well, and I work very hard, and I'm privileged to see some young people really turn their life around, and some of them go on to be successful people, business people, successful in every area, and there are many young people, as you said before, that do struggle, and I think that ultimately one of the things that one of the programs that I was always keen to develop is to send some of the people to some real area deprivation in some of the places like West Africa, where from the age of 5 years old they have to walk around, some people with a machine gun in their hand defending their own family, getting up at 5 in the morning, going to bed at midnight, working all day for 20p a day. And maybe if we send some of these young people in our society across to some of these third and fourth world countries, some of these war-torn countries, it might give them a bit of a shock to realise that they're fortunate in many ways. And I've worked with people from the African continent that have lost all their family, their parents, their brothers, their sisters in war and civil war at a very there's not a lot to do about that. They haven't had any choice. They haven't had any option. It hasn't been their decision that they've grown up in an environment that I think sometimes the young people I work with, some of the young offenders, I'm keen to stress and say, look, you've got a chance. You've got a better chance than a lot of people in the world. You can go to college. You can go. There's all out there for you. And a lot of the time, one of the problems that they've got, they all want things really, really quick. They don't want to have to work for anything. They want